Good morning, everybody. 12th of April, 2025. It's Saturday. It's quite cold. It's quite cold. I think my phone says it's like -2 or -3, but I think it feels a little bit colder than that. Like yesterday, I think I can't remember what temperature I said it was. Maybe I didn't say, but it was actually cold as well. So I don't know if we're going to start getting warm weather soon or not. But like I said, it's very early in the morning. Well, very early for some standards. It's not very early for me. For me, very early is maybe 3. That's when I get up most of the time, if you believe it or not, looking at a lot of the news and things like that. But okay, as far as the news is concerned, Zelensky, boy, what a profitable week for that guy. As I mentioned already, I think he got from Belgium, what was it, like 1.4 or 1.6 billion dollars guaranteed every year. It reminds you of the guaranteed 4 billion that the United States sends to Israel every year. And by the way, they never have to pay that back. But Israel can say, we've never defaulted on a loan. And the Congress always forgives the loan all the time. I do understand and I don't understand really what the whole idea of this to prop up Israel as they do. I don't really understand the reason why so much, but I'll let these guys go by here. I don't really like people tailing me, or I don't want to be right behind anybody either. So they're probably also going to be staring, especially when they hear I'm speaking English. So well, they don't look like they're shady guys. It's not like there's a lot of shady people here. Look at this. Another thing. Graffiti in Belarus. This is a area that most people don't walk. There's no road really right by. There's a road over here. It's like a residential road. Actually, there's a nice kind of house over there too. It looks like an old apartment, Stalinist apartment building. But anyway, let's get on with the news. So he came back, so to speak, with this huge guarantee of money. I don't know how much cash he's having transferred immediately to himself, or at himself as well, but to Ukraine. And it was also very profitable for him from the UK. The UK has okayed $21 billion for Zelensky. And I think, let me see, did I write how much? 21 billion, it's 5 billion for just this year. And Trump, as you remember, Trump was talking about Zelensky. He didn't say con artist, but he said the greatest salesman in history, or the greatest salesman on earth. Because every time he gets in an airplane and he goes somewhere, he comes back with billions of dollars, And just think of selling some sort of a war that is impossible for you ever to win, unless you get the entire world combined. So he's been very successful with that. Oh, I got some food, and here's a kitty. Maybe I have to come back. You look pretty cold. It's minus. Matter of fact, let's see if I can do this with a camera, and he might run off if he sees me. I got some food with me. So let's see what happens. I call it a he. Probably is a he. Want some food? So, oh, come on. Oh gosh, I don't know. They think I have some weapon or something against them. Come on. Let's see if he goes to get the little pile of food I put there. Looks like he's thinking about it. Yeah, doesn't know me. Oh, some guy coming. Well, he'll probably just walk past. I don't even know what the heck people are walking around for. It's just like some factories or something. Let's see if that cat will take off and maybe come back again. Okay, anyway, well, I've been in this area before, and I've probably seen that same cat. Anyway, I was talking about old Zelensky. Hope you guys don't mind if I break that up and feed a cat. Hope you guys are animal lovers too. But yeah, this guy. And the United States is still sending weapons to Zelensky. So you hear about Donald Trump saying, oh, well, these people that support this thing, oh, they're bad people, blah, blah, blah. And yet Donald Trump, he continues sending weapons to Ukraine. I think there's another cat over here. Yeah, Siamese. Probably a house cat. And who knows where Zelensky's getting all the other weapons. I think the UK, this money that they're sending them, at least this year, probably always, also includes like weapons, the cost of weapons, as well as a lot of cash. And as you know, they know very well that Zelensky cashes in on it himself. Oh, looks like another cat over there. No, that's a bird. It's one of those crows. You guys probably can't see it. A crow trying to sees the cat eating something, so it wants to come and take the food from the cat. Interesting. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Zelensky. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Who was it? Besant, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, as he mentioned just some time ago, that they're trying to get this minerals deal signed with Ukraine, at very least. And he's been frustrated the entire time. And he found out that the main reason is because they can't pocket a huge sum of that money. You know, 10% for the big guy, you know? And it's really, really sad. And they have to always look the other way, as if it's not really happening. And they know for a fact that there's a lot of people, they're just scamming lots of money off the top. But it's not like the United States doesn't do that. It's not like all of them, all of the leaders. So when you get some money allocated to somewhere, well, Zelensky was saying something like about only 30%. Well, no, it wasn't him talking about 30% of the weapons only, you know, get to the front line, and all, you know, it's like, what the heck? 70% of the weapons are disappearing somewhere else. And of course, as we know, they're being sold all over in the Middle East and everything, and Ukraine is doing that, and they make a huge profit there. So when the money comes, they take a big cut off of that, and then the weapons come, and then they sell that, and then they have the drug trade, the illicit drug trade. They're making a lot of money on that. The organ trade, they're making a lot of money on that. The human trafficking, you know, and it's not just children. It is a lot of children. And then they turn around, what was it, this International Criminal Court, and they say, Russia tried to bring these children out of the war zones, and they're all accounted for. And by the way, most of them were found at some point in time in Germany. They're trying to keep these children from getting killed, and yet they're the bad guys. It's just absolutely amazing, and that's a proven fact. That's a proven fact. They have it proven with documentation that a lot of these children, they ended up in Germany. Russia was getting them out, and somehow a lot of them got sidetracked. Some went to Moscow with their relatives, by the way, with sometimes their parents, and sometimes other relatives, and a lot of these were orphans coming from orphanages that Russia was taking out of those places, you know, homes. It's incredible. And if you guys maybe saw the footage also, Prince Harry, he was somewhere in Ukraine in some state-of-the-art looking type of place where wounded soldiers, and I can bet that most of them are officers, and they're getting like treatment, I think, you know, where their legs are blown off or some sort of a stuff. And a lot of the time, that's probably their legs are blown off from their own mines, that they're planting mines all over the place, and they probably forget where they're at, and they walk over them themselves and lose their legs, because a lot of them had no legs, or missing half a leg or a whole leg or whatever, I don't really know. And of course, a lot of them are injured, of course, by the Russians in there as well, in the meat grinder. And then, I don't know. And Prince Harry had to say, "The world is with you," you know. So he's probably still involved also in pocketing a huge amount of money. You know, a lot of these guys, it's all about money. And it was like Justin Bieber when he approached a lot of these paparazzis, and he was just saying, money, 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 and going like this. And everybody is just going after money. It's chasing after money. And of course, the world condition, it makes it so we're all chasing money, 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 money. And the system in Germany is designed in such a way where people aren't really chasing the money so much. So you don't so much amongst the normal people in Germany, you don't see them being greedy and chasing after the money. You know, a lot of time you're earning your money and your wages goes to the bank, and then the bank, a lot of time, it's called a giro conto, and of course it comes with a fee. And the last time when I was over there, it's like €6 a month, and like they're paying all of your bills for you. It's I don't know what they call it in the States. It's probably a similar thing, but I don't know. They might even have it here. So they're allocating where all of your bills go when you have a monthly payment of a certain amount. And a lot of time, if it is, I think with the energy companies, like electricity and all that, because it varies every month. So you have a certain amount of money going there. I bet it's changed now because the greed of these companies is actually going through the roof. So anyway, it's a certain amount. They average how much you pay per month or something, and then every month they take a certain amount out, and if it's over or under, you either have to pay more or you get a refund or whatever the deal is. And then there's so much going on now with the cost of energy when they allowed the United States to blow up the pipeline, and costs are very high. And I've heard from a lot of people that these companies are just fleecing people left and right. Water companies, even the water company, at least in the town that I was in, they were very corrupt and really trying to take your money. And energy company, I think also in that same town, it's not that they did it to us necessarily, but they did it when we sold our house there, and they came up with this huge bill, and these people were trying to have us pay it. And in a different town where all of the companies are very, very, very corrupt. There's a lot of corruption when it comes to these utilities in Germany. So they're really trying to steal the money from a lot of the people. And anybody who wants to comment on it, if you're from Germany, you can go ahead and do that. Jutta, you, for example. And Jutta, since I'm mentioning her, she also mentioned like this Morgenthau, what was it, what do they call it, a doctrine or Morgenthau plan? Oh, Morgenthau plan. And that was after World War II. And, we're talking about Germany and how we're sitting here watching the obvious destruction of Germany. And the biggest part that really shocks me, and this has been going on for quite a few years. I remember I was reporting on this back, I think it was like 2022 or 2023 in a TikTok video, and it's like Olaf Scholz at that time. It's like they are purposefully destroying Germany, deindustrializing Germany. And that was part of the plan of the Morgenthau plan after World War II, is to virtually, but a lot of that was to destroy their factories and things. And it wasn't to destroy Germany's ability to make money, it was destroying their ability to make war. And obviously that's what the whole plan is against Russia right now, and the United States' plan. And obviously Donald Trump seems to have some sort of a plan like that against Europe, and Biden obviously did, and they'd have to, hide it and make it look like they're not doing that. But we already knew about there was a plan to break apart any sort of a relationship between Germany and Russia. Russia had the energy and Germany had the industrial capacity. But now, of course, like I just mentioned even yesterday, a lot of these firms are moving, and most of them moving to the United States always. They're not moving to Russia. Maybe very few. The strange thing is a lot of the American firms are going to Russia to make money. And of course, some of them that pulled out, I think Putin mentioned it was 150, major companies stayed there. And some pulled out, and of course there are French companies as well. They pulled out. A lot of them want to come back, but it's threats from the government, and it's so many different factors involved in this. And and they, like, a lot of them are willing to pay a huge sum of money, withstanding the fact that, for example, McDonald's, I think McDonald's was one of them, Starbucks was willing to pay a huge sum of money to try to come back, and the coffee, what do you call it, an industry, the coffee drinking industry, I guess, is actually, still growing even here in Belarus, and there's coffee shops all over the place. When I was here in 2000, you practically found no coffee shops anywhere. And even some, what's Maxwell House, it's very, very strange when you saw Maxwell House in a thing of coffee. It was like almost behind a lock and key, and it's like not even on the shelves to buy Maxwell House coffee. Some of the real, Maxwell House is actually maybe one of the better grocery store coffees from the US, and it's not even true necessarily, because it depends. You get one, for example, and I know this for a fact because I drink coffee. You get one, they have these plastic kind of things. I can't remember even how much is in there, how much in pounds or whatever, and one might be really good, and then you think, oh, this is a good one right now. And so you buy it again and it's not good. And you keep buying it and it's not good, it's not good, it's not good. Once in a while you get a good ones, and that comes with the processing. And like I tell you, I know the coffee industry very, very well. And what happens, you know, they have these companies and they buy them from particular farmers. They're not growing the coffee. Maxwell House, Folgers, they don't grow the coffee. They buy them from individual farmers. And a lot of these farmers, they don't really care. They pick green beans. And the first part of specialty coffee is the picking. And it's not so much important on what kind of soil you're growing it in and things, but you have to have the ripeness of the beans. Sometimes it's the variety, obviously. You know, when you start to get into like, oh, the variety and how it's processed and all that, you're getting into the fine tuning of it. But the most important thing is that you don't pick green coffee beans. So when you see, you know, people advertising, oh, their coffee and it's so great, and you see green beans there, if they're actually getting green beans, you don't want that coffee. It's going to be crap, to be honest with you. It's going to be like your Folgers or something like that. It's not going to be specialty coffee. You know, so like I was picking, making sure that it's only the red ones. Very, very, very rarely some green ones get through there. But, you know, obviously since I was doing coffee and some of the global elites were drinking my coffee, and were very happy to do so, by the way, and I had a very, very fair price that even regular people can afford. And I'll admit it right now, you know, Mick Jagger, Bryan Adams, Prince Harry himself, and a lot of the other ones, they drink my coffee, or they were. And then when I was having coffee, Tommy Hilfiger, and lots of people I don't know, very rich people, billionaires and things like that. But one thing I do know is coffee. You know, most of the business, not all of it. And if you guys like, there's a coffee cycle. You have a coffee growing cycle. It's a 5-year cycle, and then like it's approximately. It depends on where you're at and your trees and things and the growing capabilities and your water levels and all. So you have to. A tree will be like 5 years, and then you a lot of times stump the tree and you have to let it regrow. And then some people, they don't even stump the trees. They strip the branches, and I don't understand how that is. And then you wait for suckers to come out, and you know, I've never done it. I don't know. I can't comment so much on that, but I don't think that's the way to do it. But you know, stumping it, and some stump below the knee, some above the knee, and then you have to cut off a lot of the different, they call them suckers, you know, the regular growth, where it's rebranching and starting to regrow. And some want one stem. I normally went with 2 or 3 stems, and letting them grow. And you know, if there's like 7 of them, you got to cut a lot of those off. And well, I don't know. This stuff's probably not interesting to you guys. You're here for the news, but anyway, coffee fascinates me. A lot of growing things too. Avocado, things like that are kind of interesting. I wasn't a great avocado farmer. I didn't know everything about it. I know like varieties and things, but not necessarily all the ins and outs of growing it. I'm quite good at coffee, and I understand a lot of things about pineapple. But anyway, let's keep going here. Okay, it's, I guess, kind of good news that Iran and the United States are kind of agreeing to talks. So I guess some of the experts, they talked to Khomeini, who was saying originally that he's not going to deal with the United States. There's going to be no negotiations, you know, and you can understand why. Because the United States, at the behest of Israel, is getting pushed and saying they're making a nuclear bomb, they're making a nuclear bomb. But Trump isn't stupid, you know, even though in that way he's trying to act like he's stupid. But that's just a play. And he knows that Iran is not making a nuclear bomb. Even Israel knows that Iran is not making a nuclear bomb. There's so much fake stuff. Satan Yahoo, the guy is just full of BS. He's much like, I mean, you look at the similarities between the leadership of Israel and the leadership of Ukraine, and there's not that much daylight in between them, you know? But Zelensky, of course, tells us he's a very honest man, and I don't know. I'm sure that Netanyahu has probably said that many, many times. So, you know, when people tell you this stuff, it's sort of like, you know, well, why are you telling me this? It's because you would never be able to see it on your own if you're watching them. Notwithstanding the fact that they're not honest men. So I don't know. Trump is a different type of guy, though. I don't know. He's not necessarily honest either, but he's just a little bit more honest than these other jokers. But anyway, there might be like some kind of a head fake going on. Um, I don't know if there's going to be some direct talks. They have a negotiator from Iran who's extremely good. I didn't even catch his name, whatever. Kind of a sharp looking guy, sharp dressed. I think he's about 50. So let's see what happens there, going, toe to toe against Witkoff. So you have these really good negotiators like this guy from Iran. And then you have some in Russia, very good, not just Lavrov. Who is the other guy? This guy who's actually quite a bit Ukrainian, and he's all over in the negotiations now. He's like some kind of economic advisor for Putin. I don't even remember the name. Don't pay attention. Guy with glasses, kind of balding head, sort of tall. You guys, you can see his picture all over the place. But anyway, let's see. Israel is very, very furious because of the fact that the United States is now talking to Iran. And, Netanyahu, he's been wetting his pants for decades and decades, trying to get the United States to bomb Iran. And, he's been frustrated all the time. And he thought this time with Trump, and like I said, there is some sort of a deal, and I know there is. It's a theory, and I don't have that much information, but there's just too much stuff points to the fact that Trump owes a lot of the fact that he became president to Israel. So, and I don't know what is going to happen between Iran and the United States, and maybe there's other things that Trump is trying to ameliorate, this sort of a relationship between Israel and himself. So let's find out what happens there. We just have to wait and see. And it's maybe because of Yemen. Yemen is still able to choke a lot of the things coming into Israel, the imports, just because of the threat. I don't know if they've been actually successful in hitting the USS Harry Truman or any of these other ships, but just the threat of that, I think a lot of ships are staying away and they're not coming into delivering things with Israel. And so they're achieving their plan, the Yemen. And the United States continues to bomb and bomb and bomb Yemen. And, a lot of destruction, but their overall plan isn't working. It's not working. It's incredible. I'll tell you what, it's like, I don't know. Should I venture to say this? Obviously the Houthis have the moral high ground. There is no denying that fact. They have the moral high ground, and the United States are the huge villains here. The United States, of course, they're a tool of Israel, and everybody knows that. They're a tool in so many other ways, bombing all sorts of countries all over the place. And Israel basically, calls the shots. They have very much control over the United States foreign policy in the Middle East. So it's just so fascinating. It's just so fascinating. And I don't know how many I think there's like over 200 the United States has killed, which is actually kind of a small number considering how many places and the bombing and the bombing and the bombing. And the United States has definitely over $1 billion in cost of bombing Yemen at this time. Just in the drones, I think if it's 30 million per drone, and Yemen has shot down 18 of those, that's over $500 million right there. And then you've got to look at all the other missiles, and just the fact of paying the servicemen and the fuel costs and all that of having all these ships there, and the airplanes, jet fuel, paying for the jet fuel, 24/7 bombing and bombing and bombing Yemen. So it's a huge cost, and it's definitely over $1 billion. And then you have Trump saying that to cut the costs and the deficit and all that. And I guess, what was it, in 2007? Was it 15? Anyway, but the U.S. trade deficit is really ballooned. It's much higher under Trump than it was under Biden, apparently. So, it's really, it's incredible. I don't know about the money that is being saved by Elon Musk team and all that, but millions in here, 30 million and all that there. It's just a drop in the bucket, and they don't. And like I said in the past few videos, they talk about the first $1 trillion defense spending bill or this budget for this year and all that. And and it doesn't make any sense when you hear about all these people talking about this 3 trillion. No, did I say billion? Anyway, the $1 trillion budget for defense for a 1 year. And then Elon Musk mentioning $12 trillion disappearing just for submarines alone. Over what period, I'm not even sure. We'll just say that it's 3 or 4 years. I don't know. But that's a lot of money every year just for submarines. And remember Donald Rumsfeld, 2001, I've mentioned this before. Oh, we just lost $3 trillion. We don't know what happened to it. And there's just trillions and trillions disappearing. So when they tell you that it's a $1 trillion, the first time, the highest defense, budget ever, $1 trillion, that's nothing. That's a complete and total lie. That's a lie. You know it is a lie. Based on the numbers that it comes out of the Pentagon already. And like I've been saying a lot of this time, I think they don't even want to talk about it, of how much money they spend in defense. And I remember even, what was this, way back in those old days. Matter of fact, let's even go back a little bit further. During the 60s, they were talking about one bullet, from an M16 is 25 cents. And that was in the 1960s. I don't know what it is now. And what was in the 1980s, the mid-1980s, they talked about an Air Force coffee pot, just a regular old friggin' coffee pot. They are spending $2,000 for it. And in the Army, a hammer cost, they're paying $325 US for a hammer back in those days. And they didn't seem to actually fix that either, because it kept on going, and you're still hearing about it. Lots of corruption there. I don't know. I still don't think anybody's minding the shop. So where is all this money going? How much money is actually going? I don't think they even know. They don't really even know. I don't even think Elon Musk is going to find out. Way too much stuff. And then you see the pallet boards filled with $100 bills in Afghanistan. And you're like, well, where is this going? Who is it going to? It's in Afghanistan. It's like, I don't know. So I don't know. And you start to talk about, about like, I don't know, how much money. And that's the, obviously in defense, that's the biggest amount of money, but there's lots of money. You heard about US aid, and we're like billions and billions and trillions of dollars. And then, it's no surprise that we're having a huge inflation. Makes you wonder if they really were able to curb all of this corruption, what the prices would be like of everything on planet Earth. We'd be paying far, far, far less. We might even still be, back in my days, a Hershey's I don't know what they cost now. Hershey's candy bar, it was bigger and it cost 25 cents. I don't know what it costs now. And there was a lot of corruption then. And I think my parents telling me, you get this huge Hershey's chocolate bar. It was 5 cents, back in the 1940s. So anyway, okay. Okay, we talked about that already. Zelensky has a team in, gosh, this is incredible. We're still talking about these mineral deals. And it's, and Zelensky keeps talking about how Putin is delaying everything. And it's a fact. It's a known fact that Zelensky is delaying everything. All the news you hear from Russia is saying, okay, let's make a deal. And Zelensky, he's just never happy with a deal. He's never been happy with any deal. You can't make a deal with Zelensky at any time, ever. And it was just testament to the fact, remember when they had that little blow up in the office, the Oval Office with Mike Vance, or J.D. Vance and Trump, and they had the deal all ready to sign and everything. Zelensky backing out of it. He keeps backing out of all these deals. So anyway, what else? Let's see. Oh, in the United States, I guess how they describe these talks lately, the latest talks, and it's just about the mineral deal. Remember the one that was already ready to sign at that meeting? They call it antagonistic. So it's apparent that Zelensky, he has no intention whatsoever about signing any kind of a minerals deal. Is it the fact that they have no minerals, or very little? I don't know. But Zelensky, what I was talking about. He wants always a one-sided deal. It makes you wonder what he's paying for a lot of these properties. You know, like he's like the biggest person in mining in South Africa now. He bought 51% of the mining industry from the country of South Africa now, and you know, he's got a big winery in Italy, got casino in Cyprus, and he already owns virtually the entire media and I think like the movie industry in Ukraine, and those are just the assets we know about. And he's got tourist industries all over, and you know, like that includes maybe his house on Baker Street that he owns, and one of the palaces of the royal family, and it's on and on and on. And a lot of times, you know, he's doing this with proxies. He puts it in other people's names. You know, his wife is one of them. His parents is another. I guess he's got a big estate in Israel, and that's in his parents' name. And of course, he's going to get that. And the guys, I mean, think about it. The guys he is definitely, I mean, well, everybody knows he's a billionaire, but how many billions? And I don't know. I would tell you he's very, very, very high. He is probably the wealthiest leader on planet Earth, much richer than Donald Trump. You know, you cannot just be, you know, having these billions and billions, and it's obvious that there's at least 10% for the big guy. You know, that's how a lot of these people work. That's how Joe Biden worked. As you know, I'm going to get away from this noise here. Go past this vacant lot here. I want an orange dump truck, Daddy. I want an orange dump truck for Christmas. Okay. That's not a dump truck. It's not even a backhoe. Anyhow, I don't even know what they call those. Anyway, I think the thing that you know, Zelensky wants. Oh, here comes another one. What Zelensky wants, he wants security guarantees, and of course, it's his entire intention is to get the United States to fight Russia for him. You know, and I think he's holding out for that. That's his dream. It's just like Netanyahu. I mean, like I said, there's a similarity between the leadership of Ukraine and of Israel. So Israel wants the United States to bomb Iran, and I mean Netanyahu, and Zelensky wants the United States to bomb Israel for him. So these two are cut from the same cloth. There's no daylight in between the two of these guys, and they're both, let's just face it, they're both Nazis. These are both Nazis. This is, just because somebody's Jewish doesn't mean they're not a Nazi. Well, Nazism, you know, it means that you think you're superior, you know, to some other ethnic peoples or whatever. And, you know, they have the master race, you know, or God's chosen people. I don't know. You guys hear that enough from me, so I'll spare you this time. Yeah, but he wants to tie the minerals deal with defense. And we heard at one point in time Starmer from the UK, the leader of the UK, he was saying that in order for that to be successful, they have to get the United States, and they want to go after Russia. As you know, it's the Hate Russia Club, and it's been going on for centuries, baby. Well, maybe not. Yeah, centuries, for hundreds of years. And I've already talked about that before too. You guys don't want to hear the broken record. Like I said, I studied history, and I remember seeing this in old history books, you know, and the Holy Roman Empire, most of that was designed to keep the Slavs out of Europe. So anyway, it was the Albert the Bear of I think it was Saxony. Anyway, it was a Saxon person, and they put him in charge of the Nordmark at that time, which is Kaliningrad. I think later became what was that? I'm forgetting all my vocabulary and stuff like that now. What it was called under in the German times. Oh, I'm cold. My fingers are freezing. Anyway, I'll keep on going here. Yeah. But the key word is guarantees. Zelensky wants guarantees, security guarantees. Obviously, he's thinking he can find a way. Obviously, he's plotted it out already. UK has plotted this out. The UK has been involved in this always from the very beginning. Lots of commandos. They're always involved. Just like what happened in Libya, they're the ones that actually kicked it off. back then. You know, when they bombed Gaddafi at that time, it was the UK. They're from some pretty sneaky guys, and you can look up in some of the history of their commandos and their, I guess you'd call it their special forces. Then they're good. They've been into a lot of this kind of stuff. So anyway, spare you on that one too. I don't know so much about it. I can't tell you the details, but I just know that it's all true. Okay. Now there is online proof. Well, this is even another part of this in a way. There's online proof, undeniable proof. They have it in documents that this whole thing, this Russia deal, and PP-gate, you know, some call it Peelgate, PP-gate, some called it the Steele dossier. Remember when they said that Trump went to Moscow and was, I don't know, like he paid hookers to pee all over him in a hotel room? That's why they call it PP-gate. And it turns out they have documentation that that was all made up, that this guy Christopher Steele made it up, and he was paid $75,000 US to do it, and then later he got guilty, got scared, and he came out and he said that he made it up, and the Democrats just kept right on going. They kept right on going with this, and the FBI was involved in this. They paid him the $75,000 for doing this sort of stuff, and obviously who's behind all this? Who actually runs this, the FBI in the United States? It's basically property, and this is not even an exaggeration. At least it was, and it might still be. Maybe it's different now. Trump, I think, is trying to take it away, but it's property of the Clinton family. The Clintons controlled the FBI for a long time. I guess you can go back to this time. Who is this guy that was having sex with Hillary Clinton from the FBI? Oh, I'm not maybe allowed to say this stuff on YouTube, but it's this guy that they killed him, remember? Anyway, but well, I shouldn't talk about that. Okay, but anyway, that Christopher Steele was MI6, and let's see. Lavrov, he said like what I keep saying, and of course, I don't know, the Russians have been saying this in a lot of different ways anyway, but the Kiev is trying to exterminate. Now, he used that word, I guess, in Russian. Maybe it was in English, I don't know. Exterminate everything Russian. And I've been saying that, and it's obviously true. They want to get rid of the language, the culture, and everything. And of course, there's a lot of these people in the Baltics and everything like that. They want everything that is Russian, goes back to the history for thousands of years. They want the complete extermination of it. It's even worse than the burning of the books, you know, under Adolf Hitler and stuff like that. You know, it sounds like, what is that? Why is it that Nazis do it? So what does that mean when they're trying to destroy everything about an entire ethnicity of some peoples? It's called Nazism. Oh, surprise, you know. So anybody that says that I'm wrong, oh, why are you using that word? Well, then what is it called? What is it called if it's not Nazism? So, okay. And I guess when you're doing those sort of things, what are you? You're a friggin' Nazi. Jeez. Oh, but just don't call it Nazism. You know, just get rid of the Palestinians. And who was it? I just mentioned, I think in the last video, there's some woman, whatever her name, she's in the ministry, and she said there is no such thing as Palestine. And then they're also trying to say there never was a Palestine, even if they had coins and it was recognized as, you know, a peoples and an origin before the Israelis were even there. Oh, but there is no Palestine. Okay. Okay, what else? Oh, Maria Zakharova. She said that Europe is trying to ignore the fact, you know, that these, well, not to ignore the fact, they're trying to say that all of this energy infrastructure that is burning in Russia, getting attacked and getting these explosions, that it's happening on its own, that Ukraine is not doing that. Even Ukraine said they're only observing it in some areas. In other words, they are attacking it. It's just incredible. So I'm just kind of wondering, what is going to happen? Let's ask ourselves, what's going to happen when this 30 days runs out? What do you think Russia might do? Do you think Russia is going to still like just say, well, let's keep on holding the kid gloves and not do anything after they've been attacking all of this infrastructure all over in Russia? In Russia, not, I mean, in the old Russia, pre-Ukraine war Russia is where they're attacking it all. And That is their main goal right now. They're attacking that more than they are on civilians. So anyway, okay. And Zelensky, he probably senses this, so he's begging for Patriot missile systems. He's begging for it all over the place. And Germany is saying, well, Pistorius, or, what do they call him, Pistorius, or whatever his name is, the guy over there in Germany. Well, we don't have any more. We have them on order ourselves. We need some. So, and they're saying that when they get them, they're going to give them to Ukraine. Oh man, incredible. They're getting them from the United States, obviously. And they have their own systems, but I don't know, maybe they're not making them. Okay. And now there's an agreement between Ankara and not Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, the new capital. And they're going to, a lot of people coming there. There's some agreement, that they're trying not to fight against each other. And, I kind of suspect, that, what's his name? Erdogan is just a, bag of wind. He's just, talks all this stuff about anti-Israel and all that. He's never done anything. Oh man, I gotta take anyway, let me put this on pause for a minute. Okay, I'm back. Oh, people are going the other way. I'm gonna walk over this way anyway here. But what was I talking about? Oh, Ankara and Jerusalem. If you guys are watching that, and they're trying to find a way that they don't fight each other, and it makes me wonder if they didn't well, it doesn't make me wonder at all. For a fact that these people, they coordinated this from the very beginning. It was Israel and Turkey, this takeover and kicking out Assad. And obviously, there was an amelioration sort of happening between Assad and Erdogan. And obviously, Erdogan was faking it. And I suppose what happened, I guess, a few days ago, but it's not really so much in the news, is that Israel bombed an Air Force base of Turkey inside of Syria. And of course it's, if Turkey was going to talk about this too much, oh, I dropped my cards here. If Turkey was going to talk about this too much, then a lot of people would be demanding. I mean, they could have made a big affair out of it, but they want to keep it hush, 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 because I think there's some sort of an agreement already before this. But I don't know. But now I guess Israel is promising they're not going to, how promises are from Israel, because they're honest people, obviously, like Zelensky. It's just like the ceasefire against this energy thing, or the Minsk agreements, which wasn't Zelensky at that time anyway. But anyway, they said they're not going to be bombing the airfield for Turkey. But I'll tell you what, if Israel decides they want to bomb that Turkish airfield in Syria, they're going to do it. And what's Turkey going to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nobody can do anything. Israel does what Israel wants to do all the time. And they can get away with everything. Nobody will ever do anything because they have the United States behind them. The United States. In other words, if you retaliate against Israel, you're retaliating against the United States. You can practically retaliate in a lot of ways against the United States, and it's probably a lot more safe than retaliating against Israel, because Israel is the masters. They're the masters of the United States. You guys know that. I don't think there's any denying that, to be honest with you. Okay, covering that. Oh, it's cold. Well, anyway, it was part of this guarantee, and I didn't say this, is that Israel has granted Turkey permission to have that airfield, and that's not even a lie. They granted permission for Turkey to have an airfield in Syria. Makes you wonder, well, if that's the case, who's in charge here? Obviously. Wow. Let's see what else here. Okay. Oh, that was a big thing, Now that this is all over, I mean, as far as Assad is gone, and Assad was the main person that was keeping from the pipelines from going from the Golan Heights into Turkey, because now there has to be some sort of an agreement between Turkey and Israel, obviously, and there already was And of course, maybe they knew this because of the future. Now, they have this company called Genie Petroleum, and Genie Petroleum was granted the rights, the mineral rights of the Golan Heights at that time when they did not even have control over the Golan Heights. But now that they will have control over, and Israel, of course, has this big section, but they signed the rights to Genie Petroleum. Genie Petroleum is like the Murdoch family, and a lot of people, Dick Cheney, like I mentioned this before already. So it's very obvious. You know, like I just mentioned, this Morgenthau plan, you know, to take down Germany, and I guess part of this is there's a lot of destruction of Germany, and you guys remember Build Back Better. So they're destroying Germany to build back better, and it's kind of like when you join in the army. They, you know, when you first get in there to basic training, they call it like they're tearing you down. They humiliate you. You maggot, you get on your belly and you crawl like a reptile. That's what they said to me anyway. And all kinds of stuff, you know. You've seen the movies anyway. And then I guess towards the end of your training period, which is 8 weeks in basic training and all that, then they try to build you up. Oh, you're a man now. Oh, you made it through this. I mean, blah, 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 blah. You made it through basic training, stuff like that. And it's all just a big game, as you guys all know. Anybody that's you know, the U.S. military, maybe they do it in a lot of other militaries, but it's very similar to what's going on right now. So they're tearing down maybe Europe, and of course, with the full knowledge of the Europeans, Baerbock and all these people, you know, they're complicit in the destruction of Germany. That's an undeniable fact. Undeniable. These people are purposefully destroying their own country. And it makes you really wonder, well, what was the deal that was made with them? I don't know. Riches, comfort, power. So anyhow, so like this Morgenthau plan that Yuda was mentioning, but a lot of this is, and there's going to be a big pipeline, and that's an undeniable fact. There's going to be a pipeline that's going to be going from the Golan Heights, which, by the way, has huge amounts of oil. They have more oil and gas there than they have in Saudi Arabia, and that's going to be going through Syria. And the main reason for the Syrian war is because Assad did not want to consent to them having this pipeline going through Syria after they take over the Golan Heights, which is Syrian property. So then you take part of their land, and then you take their gas and oil and pipe it through Syria. And Assad was saying, well, would you think I'm crazy? Why am I going to agree with something like that? You're stealing everything from Syria. And of course, that's why they had to get rid of Assad. So now they got rid of Assad, and now this is going to happen. And of course, it's going to take a few years. So there's the destruction of Germany and all that is not yet complete, or, you know, of the European Union. So that's why these people, like I was saying, and I like to say that these people are really stupid. But I don't know. They're probably not really stupid. They're just complicit in the destruction of their own countries and the impoverishment of their own people. I don't know. That's a large part, that's a theory, but I don't know if that's wrong at all, because it's actually working out that way. Okay, yeah, it'll be a reindustrialization. Build back better, like I said, it's going to be incredible. You know, I don't know. Let's see if maybe my crystal ball. Let's see if that's actually going to be working here. Okay, the United States right now has 80,000 troops in Europe, all of Europe, and I think they used to have, in my day, I think it was 130,000. That's at the height of the Cold War, but now Donald Trump is saying he wants to remove 10,000, and Europe is panicking. Oh no, oh, the Russians are going to come after us, they're going to come and get us. And I don't think they believe in that themselves, really. I don't know. It's kind of like, well, why do I know that? I know for a fact that Russia has no desire and no need to attack Europe. What the heck do they want why do they want that? There's no way. Why would Russia want that? You know? And I think a lot of this is, I don't know, somehow there's got to be money made into this sort of a deal. I don't really understand it, like I said. They should be happy that the United States is going to remove some troops from there. And of course, the Baltics is crying and all that. I think, of course, in the future, they want to attack Russia more than anything else. So, okay. There's talk again about having a gold-backed currency. And as we all know, gold has actually been very stable. You know, it still has the same buying power. You know, when you consider like buying what you're going to buy, something that correlates to what we have in the future. Like a lot of people say, it's like a suit. If you want to go and you buy a suit, you know how much money you pay for a new pair of shoes and a suit and a tie and all that. And back in the ancient Rome, it's basically very similar. I mean, obviously, you know, with adjusted inflation, what gold bought back then is what it buys now. And they didn't have Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies or anything like that back in those old days. But, you know, like currencies, they all fail at some point, especially the fiat currencies. So, you know, a lot of people are talking about bringing back, you know, something with gold, and gold keeps going up and up and up and up, and crypto is just flowing all over the place. Of course, you can make huge amounts of money, I guess, with the crypto, but if you understand it, and a lot of people say, well, yeah, I'm so smart, I just buy it, wait till it crashes, and then I buy some, and then then when it's gets up big again, I sell it again. You know, sure, that's how stocks and all that work anyway. I don't know. I don't understand crypto. Don't want anything to do with it, to be honest with you. So, anyhow, let's see, what else is it? A lot of experts are talking about they don't see a trade war. They don't see a trade war going on. And this I don't understand. They don't see a trade war with China, but they see a currency war with Europe. With Europe, they said Europe, and I think, what about a currency war with the United States? I don't know. If any of you guys out there understand what the heck they're talking about, a currency war with Europe is more in play than a trade war, fill me in, because I don't understand. I don't understand that. I don't understand it at all. I'm not any expert in economics anyway, but maybe you guys can see that better than I can. And Peter Schiff is also coming out. Obviously, he's a gold bug. I am too. Peter Schiff, very wise. He's the one that predicted virtually step by step everything about that crash in 2008. And he was right. There was those videos, you know, that had millions and millions of views called Peter Schiff was right. You know, and he's like sitting there telling you exactly Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you know, that, you know, this real estate and all this. And it's like, wow, this guy got virtually every step of the way right. And he's talking about, and I don't disagree with him at all, that there's going to be huge inflation coming to prices in the United States. And Donald Trump says, and zero inflation. And Elon Musk's brother, remember, he was saying that Donald Trump is a friggin' idiot. And even Elon Musk, being a lot more polite, of course, is saying that, you know, Trump is not very accurate on what he's doing and what he's, you know, all these tariffs and all that sort of a deal. And he's actually making a mistake. And I think what did China raise their, you know, I'm not even paying so much attention, because Trump raises, and I raise you 1, I'll raise you 2, I'll raise you 4, you know, with China. And China just raised their tariff levels as well for U.S. products. And I'm just thinking, somebody else, I think in a comment somewhere, was saying, well, why don't they just go to 1,000%? You know, think about it. Why don't they just do it all in one swoop? Say 1,000% tariffs right now. That's what they should do. And I kind of agree, because what's the point in just keep going up and up, a little bit here and a little bit there? Yeah. Not me. And Trump, I guess the whole idea was that the dollar would strengthen, and it weakened the dollar. I guess the dollar's been the weakest it has for a long time, and so Trump put his paws on there. But the pause is not for China. And I don't know, it makes you really wonder. China, like, they're not a bunch of dummies. They're pretty smart over there. Makes you really wonder what China is planning. And a lot of people are saying that one of the main reasons why the dollar was crashing is because not China, but Japan was selling off a lot of their reserves, the US dollar. You know, the great ally of the United States, Japan, not China. And just think, I'll tell you what, if China would have been selling, because China has quite a bit as well, if they were selling, you would have seen the Great Depression all over again. It would have put the markets in a tailspin like you would never ever believe. And Trump, his whole idea is to bring back production to the United States, bring these factories and all that sort of thing. But it doesn't happen in one day. Trump thinks that he can put everything on steroids and just snap his fingers and automatically right away everything is going to happen the way he wants it to happen. America's going to have, like what did he said? All of this stuff. He just put the tariffs on, and the very next day, oh, everything is great. Everything has changed. Now we're getting rich, and there's this, That's what I said. He's not really the most honest guy in the world either. He's coming out and saying all these things that are definitely not true, and they can't be true. Things don't happen overnight. And it's like when you do an economy. Look at how Vladimir Putin did this. The Soviet Union, or Russia, I guess, after the crash of the Soviet Union, was a disaster. And now, what is Russia, the fourth biggest economy in the world? They just, well, maybe it's third now. They overtook Germany, and then they overtook Japan. And Russia is doing pretty well. And it's not necessarily that Russia, even though Russia is doing very well, but it's a lot of these other economies that are doing much, much worse. So they're going down, and Russia's going up. China obviously is going up. These people are making nothing but mistake after mistake after mistake. And and Donald Trump thinks that he's going to shoot America up, much higher right away. And in a lot of ways, actually, as you all know, in production capacity, China is definitely number one in the world. China, I would say, is more powerful than the United States, but the power that the United States has over China is they buy and they buy and they buy. They buy crap all over the place. But China was catching up, and there's the rest of the world also to think about. So maybe China, you never know, if they can actually reduce prices, if they can make, and I think they're doing this with the rest of Asia, a lot of Asia anyway. Maybe not South Korea, maybe not Japan, but Southeast Asia, I believe. They're trying to make some sort of a trade deal there. And if they start selling products more so, or loosen the trade barriers with a lot of other countries, they're not going to need the United States. So this is pretty interesting. We'll see what happens. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, but that's what I'm talking about, because that's obviously how that is. So let me go to the other side of the tracks here. Lots of people walking around here. Okay, what else here? The last thing I have to say here is Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the richest company, the richest entity probably on the planet. And of course there are some other ones that are richer. Of course they're much more rich. They're richer than the United States. And he said that after World War II, the United States was the stabilizer. And right after World War II, and I was maybe even too young, obviously in the 60s and the 70s, that I don't really know if that's really true. I'm kind of guessing it is. They stabilized things. At least they weren't so radical. They were far more conservative at that time. And Donald Trump is not a conservative, as I said. He's definitely not a conservative. So he's only you could say a traditionalist. He likes to be, to support traditional American values and things, but he's not a conservative. That's very obviously. You have to think of things as not well, you're either a liberal or a conservative. You don't think of it in that way. But he's not a conservative, because whatever he's doing is exactly the opposite of being a conservative. So what is he? I don't know. So, but anyway, Larry Fink said that United States now is the destabilizer. And Donald Trump, obviously, is the destabilizer of the economies in the world. There is no doubt about that. So even Trump himself, as he got this stuff wrong, that it's not strengthening the dollar, it has weakened the US dollar. So it's and he's trying to tell everybody, oh, everything's fine, everything is great. So it's obvious Donald Trump does not quite even understand what the heck is going on himself either. And that's what I have been saying, and other people have also been saying. You don't know what's going to be going on, because he's put everything on steroids. So let's just see what happens as far as all that's concerned. And in any case, what I'm going to try to do also, I didn't tell you guys I was going to mention that in this video, is I have my Russian teacher put a photo of herself, just like, I think from the neck up or whatever like that. on our site, on our chat site, and I was just going to try to post that. So I'm not going to upload this video immediately. I'm going to try to put that so you guys can see the photo, at least of the of what my Russian teacher looks like, and in this video. And if you saw her, like in person, like in class or whatever like that, like I said, you only see her face, but if you saw her figure and all that, it's even better than her face. She's like maybe 5'10", a little taller than I am, maybe 11, I think, and quite slender. And yeah, I don't know. Need I say any more? But I'll put the photo in if I can, and you guys can. I don't know. Maybe even the women. Women seem to know when other women look good, but you guys, you can maybe comment on what you think. I hope I'm going to be able to do this. I haven't been actually doing any sort of editing for a long time. I just kind of do these videos and stick them up without doing any cuts, because it otherwise takes too long. But today is Friday or Saturday, so I have a little bit more time maybe. I might still need to study and all, but I'll try to do that. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me, and as usual.